Hello everyone, this is Luke. Welcome back to my channel. This is the Scottish Islands. This isn't Scotland. Thank God I can get rid of that awful, dreadful accent. Yes, I am in Hong Kong, China, and any preconceptions you had about this place, completely blown out of the water. I used to think it was going to be a tiny, weeny little island full of people, going to be really busy, nowhere to move sort of thing. And in some respects, it's a little bit true in some places, but there's just so much more to it than that, guys. There's so much culture, beauty, diversity. I mean, come on. You guys might have believed me if I did keep on saying this for Scotland. It is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, without further ado, welcome to Hong Kong. Yeah, we're in Hong Kong, and I have to begin this video by apologizing to China on behalf of Britain. But if I do that, I need to apologize to a whole lot of other countries. Go figure, for our colonial past. Because of course Hong Kong was a British colony, only until 1997. Of course, now it belongs to China. And how did this lovely place become a British colony, may you ask? Well, I have just the answer for you, and that is because Britain, they were very good at taking things from other countries. They loved to import stuff. However, they were not too good at exporting, so they tried their best at, you know what they're best for? Food. However, it didn't go down too well with the Chinese. They weren't really keen on it. So the next best thing, drugs. Yeah, so they were exporting drugs to China, and China realized, hang on, we don't want this. This isn't good. And so it began a war, China and Britain. And of course, back then, Britain was far more superior, and you know, it ended pretty quickly. However, China, you know, they said, hey, stop giving drugs to our people, ruining their lives and whatever, and you can have Hong Kong. Yes, Hong Kong, where we are today. Absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And you know, I absolutely love this place. There's so much culture and diversity. It really is different to the mainland. So I kind of want to compare the two. How are they different? Which is the better place to live in? You know, and I'm particularly excited because Hong Kong has little sprinkles, little dashes of traditional Chinese elements, but with a British twist. You know, there's lots of British high street shops, British restaurants, British architecture, even public transport such as the trams and double-decker buses. Having said that, I think there is a mixture of feelings of what locals think of the British here, especially the older generation, because the Brits, you know, they forcefully invaded here. They made the locals' lives really bad, you know, I mean that, because during the early years there was a lot of racism and discrimination towards the Hong Kongers. The Brits, they could go to all the fancy nice restaurants and bars, whilst the locals couldn't. Many locals, they couldn't even go to school, and they were struggling with money. They couldn't get certain jobs, whilst the Brits, they were flourishing. And to be honest, Hong Kong really had no true democracy under Britain. The government were predominantly British, with little local representation. Many of the laws were against the local people. But now Hong Kong was handed to its rightful owners. You know, sorry again China for taking them, but now there is a lot more local representation here. And as I overlook this beautiful city, you can see that the Brits did strengthen Hong Kong and made it into a global economic hub. So the Brits did do some useful things for Hong Kong. And, you know, many people thought after the handover, Hong Kong would be worse off. But for such a tiny little island, people from around the world to this day still come here for work, and it's gotten even richer and stronger. All right, guys, now let's get away from the hustle and bustle of the city life, and let's go to some of the islands, which are absolutely diverse and beautiful and amazing and so many more things. And we're going to begin with the most popular one, the tourist island, and that is Lantau Island. Let's go. And welcome, guys, to Lantau Island. Right below me, this is the sea. Absolutely beautiful views, oh my God.
A little later.
Can you even see anything behind me at this point? I can't. I've come on the worst day probably. Oh my gosh, it's so foggy. I hope it doesn't rain. But anyway, I'm going to go all the way to the top of this mountain. I suppose it's the tallest on this island anyway, maybe Hong Kong, I don't know. But if you go to the very top, which, yeah, I hope we can see it, but there is a symbolic feature of Hong Kong. If you search for Hong Kong online, it's the first thing you see. It is, you know, really famous, and you know, I want to keep it a surprise. Let's have a look. Guys, I'm crying, I'm so sad, you know, because I've come to Hong Kong just for 2 days, just for a holiday, because the weather in Shanghai is terrible. It is raining in Shanghai. And because Hong Kong is on the south coast of the mainland, you expect it to be really beautiful weather, really sunny. That's what the forecast said. But no, it's raining. I had to get a rubbish umbrella, which is a fortune, 100 RMB, which is ridiculous because I'm just using it for a day. But I had to get it because it is just pouring it down. Pretty cold as well. But never mind, never mind. Oh, and by the way, I did lie to you guys. I'm really sorry. Don't mean to lie. But fact check for my own video. This is certainly not the tallest mountain on the island. I mean, I don't even need to look it up. I can see for myself, there's quite a few mountains surrounding it. But this is the tourist mountain, not the tallest, but the tourist. I mean, if you've been to Hong Kong already, you definitely know of this place. Let me flip the camera around. Oh, if you can see it amidst the tourist and the fog. All the way up there, I've got to walk all the way. God, it's gonna be tiring, isn't it? There's no lift, I've got to walk up. The big Buddha, one of the biggest Buddha statues anyway, in the world. Here we go then, guys. Gone all the way from down there. It's like 300 steps or something, I read. Oh, absolutely knackered. But hey, we've made it to the big guy himself. Big Buddha. Cancel, 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 you see? Got a swastika up there, but actually, swastikas, they've been around for centuries. It's a symbol of Buddhism, Hinduism, many other religions as well. So actually, it's a bit different to the Nazi swastika. So the Nazi one has the arms going the opposite direction. So yeah, the arms in this case, it means like the circle of life. So you go from birth, life, death, and you keep repeating, right? So no, you don't need to cancel it, it's okay. Ooh, all right guys, made it back down from the big Buddha. And you might be wondering, why is there a random big Buddha statue? Well, actually, this place has a 100-year-old monastery, which is where monks live. And the monastery is called Po Lin, which means precious lotus. Here we go, statue of a lotus. Yeah, it's interesting to see where the monks live and worship. The architecture is absolutely beautiful, very traditional Chinese architecture. Now I can take photos here, but up there, can't take any photos. There's loads of signs telling me not to. But it's really nice inside. You've got the statue, people worshipping, bowing down. So yeah, it's a interesting bit of culture here. Well, that's the end of Lantau Island. Bit of a shame it rained, but there are plenty more islands to explore when the weather gets better, even with some beaches. Now, it might sound inconvenient to get to these islands, but actually, most islands take around 30 minutes or so from downtown by ferry. So if I was living in Hong Kong, I would definitely be coming here each weekend. And most of these islands, like this next one I'm at now, are fishing villages. And actually, although downtown would have had many negative effects from British colonialism, these fishing villages would have had hugely positive effects. Because think about it, right? None of the British would have moved here. There's nothing to do here. There's hardly any work for them. So for the locals, they would have faced no discrimination. They would have been happily living here by themselves. There would have been no rules that would impact them. But also, the Brits created a ferry link from the islands to the main downtown area, and that meant that trade would have gone through the roof for them. Many of them would have then moved on to the city, to the urban life, because they could then afford it. And then when they moved to the urban life, maybe then they would have had some discrimination. So maybe it's not all positive, but still, it's quite interesting, right? Ooby-doo, I wanna be like you. I wanna walk like you, talk like you. Yeah, it feels like I'm in the Jungle Book right now. And then magically, hold on, don't skip the video, don't fast forward it, don't change video. We are at, as I promised you guys, we are at the beach, the beautiful beach. Oh wow, this is like a private beach, isn't it? Gosh, this is a tiny one. Of course there are much big ones, but apparently this is like one of the nice ones. This is the Turtle Cove Bay. So there are apparently many turtles here. Hope you can find some. Awesome, isn't it? Let's have a little look. But wow, so peaceful. Oh my god, can you imagine just by yourself for a whole beach? I feel like you're a millionaire, don't you? Beach to yourself. I won't stay here too long. It's like 18 degrees at the moment, which is okay, but it's just not sunny. It's a bit grey at the moment. It won't rain like yesterday, but you know, I think I'll go somewhere else. So there we go, guys. Let me get my bag. Say goodbye to the beach, say goodbye to the turtles, which I never got the chance to say hello to in the first place. Bye-bye, bye-bye. All right, guys, so as I explore my last evening in Hong Kong, yeah, I'm traveling back tomorrow. That's a shame. Loved it. Really do love it here. You might now be asking me, hey, Luke, do you prefer mainland China or Hong Kong? Whoa, brilliant question, I must say. Very good question. I think a very telling thing, right, would be that this is one of the very few places that I've traveled to where I'd be absolutely happy to relocate and work at. I think maybe one day I might. Having said that, I do prefer mainland. I prefer the lifestyle in Shanghai at the moment. And you know, it all boils down to the argument of capitalism versus communism. Of course, Hong Kong is a capitalist, democratic city in China, and the mainland China, they are communist. Now, what is capitalism? It is about fighting to get rich. You want to get as rich as possible. And so, that brings wealth inequality. So in Hong Kong, there is a lot of wealth inequality, and you can check this with statistics. The Gini index is higher in Hong Kong than in most places in the world. You can actually see this visually as well. There are many homeless people, there are beggars. It's not uncommon to see. Whereas in the mainland, I just never see that. I never see homeless people. That is one of the things that really shocked me when I first arrived in China. And why is that the case? Well, communism favours collectivism. It's not about the individual, it's about society as a whole. And I do think that, China, the mainland, is more advanced in many ways in terms of technology, in terms of the economy, and in terms of society. And there's no disrespect to Hong Kong, by the way, but what I mean is I just feel it's more safer. It's more safer in the mainland. There's less wealth inequality as well. I mean, let me give you an example as well about safety. The first day that I got to Hong Kong, someone just approached me. He was like, hey, you want any drugs? Do you want weed? Do you want this? I was so shocked. Never had that happen to me in mainland at all. That was on my first day in Hong Kong. Probably a reason for that is because of the immigration policies, I think, are not very strict at all here. Whereas in mainland, it's really strict. In mainland, right, you need to have a degree, you need to have so many years work experience, and you need to be applying for a job which the country needs, they're in demand for, right? And so you're going to get a lot of people who are in business. So you would think, it's not guaranteed, but in general, the likelihoods of bringing crime in through foreigners is less likely. Whereas in Hong Kong, you see people, foreigners working here for any type of job. It could be low level, it could be high level. So I do feel that anyone can come here, which of course is a great thing. It helps the economy, it helps diversity, brings a lot of culture into Hong Kong, which is absolutely brilliant. But there is also the negative argument of it as well. I don't want to get too political into that. There's obviously pros and cons for it, and I understand both. But this is, I think, a big reason why I think mainland does feel a lot safer. Hey guys, two totally opposing places, full of beauty, full of culture, and I encourage anyone to come to Hong Kong, I encourage anyone to come to mainland. But I think with the cost of living, the apartment sizes, and also the really annoying ringing in the backgrounds from the traffic lights, I think living in mainland is the choice for me. That's where I want to live, that's where I want to work. Yeah, anyway guys, that is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.